if you can always be safe and do the same thing every day and never make a mistake, right? and but then you're not doing anything new. And in our line of work, innovation is key. You just mentioned AI. If we don't adopt it and say, hey, we'll never do anything with AI, I know we'll make terrible mistakes with it, but along the way we'll probably learn a lot more, which will help us innovate and use it for the better of the people we serve. So that's where it came. That's where it kind of sort of seeded the idea of we should have that. And we generally are very empathetic. My leadership style is very empathetic and very player coach oriented, so it seemed like a natural way. Every leader has a different leadership style, and this was mine. And I thought this is where we get the most growth, because it really crystallizes. These mistakes actually crystallize and serve as a better learning for the person, for their own growth from where they are and where we want them to become. So.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we talk about mistakes. Why are mistakes important inside of our company growth and inside of leadership? Well, we're going to unpack that with you today. But the short version of it is because we don't innovate without the willingness to make mistakes and learn from it. We don't grow as individuals if we don't take the chance to learn from those mistakes. And one of the phrases that you'll learn in here, it's not about just making mistakes. It's about making new mistakes, because we've all heard this. We don't want to make the same ones over and over. So today, our special guest is the CEO of Taazaa. They've been on the Inc. list before. They've got over 300 employees. And Yasir Drabu is going to talk to you about embracing the freedom to make mistakes. I've already shared with you a little bit of the insights behind it, but I love when he talks about we make new mistakes, because it's just a reminder. You can't keep making the same ones over and over. But he also talks about the importance of embracing this with others and coaching them through the journey and really understanding them, as opposed to just leading by fear. And I think you'll find today's episode about mistakes and embracing the freedom to make mistakes a very powerful conversation. Well, my name is Gene Hammett. I'm an executive coach. We work with fast-growing companies like the Inc. 5000 and others to really help them understand what leadership alignment is, how to achieve it, and how to truly create leadership across an organization, specifically how to turn managers into leaders. And if that's something you're curious about, you want to make sure you sign up for a executive virtual conversation. It's just a chance for you to engage with people that have been on the show before. Maybe it's even clients that we have, but it's other executives at fast growth companies. And if you're curious about those conversations, you're curious about the next topic, just go to coreelevation.com. That's the name of our company, coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. It is for any executives in fast growth companies that want to be a part of this and really add to the conversation. You can listen in, you can participate, you can just sign up and never show up, and we'll send you the recordings. But my hope is that you will find value in it, and you'll want to come back and engage with us, and we'll add value to your life as a leader and as an executive of a fast growth company. Just go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. Now here is Yasir. Yasir, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
I am fantastic. We're going to have a great conversation today about mistakes. You might be wondering what that has to do with growth, but we're going to unpack that for you. Yasir, tell us about your company, Taazaa.
Sure. Taazaa is a software product engineering company that focuses on building product teams for either funded startups or innovation teams in larger companies. We don't do the typical IT solutioning. We help largely where there's a product mindset approach to solving, whether it's to grow revenue or cut costs or go into new markets, as many startups do. So
I'm kind of curious. A lot of people are talking about AI. Maybe that's the word of the year.
It is.
Are you guys embracing AI with the work you're doing, or is that on the horizon?
We are already embracing it, because I think the research on that has been going on for several decades, right? It's the there's that unique intersection of enough data, enough computing, and enough understanding that came together, and ChatGPT transformed that quite a bit and made it mainstream last year. But we are adopting it, whether it's generative or some sort of machine learning in various products right now to help either improve user experience, our data insights, and those kind of things. I think we are in the early stages of it in terms of adoption. To be honest, there's still a lot to learn, and I think we'll see where it goes the next year.
I agree. There's a lot to learn, but I also see the power of it, and I think that if we learn to embrace it, and it will optimize our work. I know that our teams are using it, very minor little task, but it's actually helping us quite a bit right now. So I appreciate you sharing that with us about the industry and where it's going. Yeah, sir, we do a lot of research to put people in here. We don't just put anyone, select anyone. We actually get probably 10 pitches a day, sometimes 20, about people who want to be on the show, but we curate guests like yourself to be on the show. And I know today's topic is embracing the freedom to make mistakes. So what does that mean to you in a company that's got 300 plus employees growing like, 50% a year or more? What does that mean to you?
So I think, again, as I was talking earlier, it's about the kind of mindset you have, right? So I think there's where I drew the inspiration from was the growth mindset book by Cal many years ago, and it's really about how you how you react to when you are under challenging situation or you do something wrong. You can either say I was a failure, or hey, this was a great opportunity to learn and then grow from it, right? So I've seen both in my employees and team, team leaders, where if they'd make a mistake, they take it personally as a failure, and there are others who are like, this was a great challenge and I really sucked at it, but hey, here's what I can do better. And it came naturally initially. I didn't. It then, as we observed it, it became apparent that we really lean towards the latter, which is, if you can always be safe and do the same thing every day and never make a mistake, right? But then you're not doing anything new. And in our line of work, innovation is key. You just mentioned AI. If we don't adopt it and say, hey, we'll never do anything with AI, I know we'll make terrible mistakes with it, but along the way, we'll probably learn a lot more, which will help us innovate and use it for the better of the people we serve. So that's where it came. That's where it kind of sort of seeded the idea of we should have that. And we generally are very empathetic. My leadership style is very empathetic and very player coach oriented, so it seemed like a natural way. Every leader has a different leadership style, and this was mine. And I thought this is where we could get the most growth, because it really crystallizes. These mistakes actually crystallize and serve as a better learning for the person, for their own growth from where they are and where we want them to be in the company. So
I like that you trace this back to mindset, because the mindset to me is about the way we see ourselves and see the world. And when we take different perspectives, hopefully we're able to see from a different angle the same problem. And I feel like a lot of my coaching is getting someone to see the same actual issue from a completely different perspective. It's not a failure. It's a learning opportunity is a simple way to do this. Yeah. When you talk about mindset as a leader, is that part of your conversations with your team?
Absolutely. Every day and at every opportunity, we go through so many decisions on a daily basis, whether it is who we are going to hire, who we may have to let go for various reasons, how to do that, how to be empathetic through that whole process. And our line of work has a lot riding on it. We have systems which are mission critical. And if things go wrong, I get yelled at. I have clients from New York and they're not polite sometimes. So, but to translate that to the team in a way that they learn from it instead of just passing down that frustration is very important. So, hey, we did this, the systems went down. Why did it happen? What went wrong? Kind of dwell with them, sit with them, understand that, and then use that to learn from it, right? So next time, how do we do it better, and how do we improve from it is very important. We could make it difficult and make their life miserable, but instead we use that as an opportunity to say, hey, do we improve systems? Do we improve our own experience? What else can we do better so that the next time around we are better prepared for this situation, sort of thing. So,
yeah, Sierra, I appreciate you going a little bit deeper with this conversation with me, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, I get the concept. Like, we want people to fail forward. We want them to learn from their mistakes and not make the same mistakes twice. We've heard all these before. How do you coach someone or lead someone that has trouble with this? They're too hesitant to make the mistakes, and so they play safe. How do you coach someone through that?
Right. I think we first start with our what I call our culture stack within our company. Right. It's very important what kind of culture we as leaders are creating in our company. So we have what I call this culture stack, just like our tech stacks, which starts at the foundation with empathy. When you care about something, you're curious, then that leads to curiosity, right? Then you're like asking the right questions. Hey, what's wrong? And then you're like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And then that leads to, when you ask the right questions, then you go look for answers. And that's where craftsmanship comes in. And then finally, at the top of our culture pyramid is owning it or being your own captain. And we work through a lot of to give them a lot of ownership on that. So it starts at the culture stack first. I mean, we need to build that culture across the board, not just from me. And then we as leaders try to establish, which is very important, is psychological safety, right? If you have a leader who is petty, or you just vindictive because you made a mistake, or abusive because you made a mistake, that's not conducive to the whole making mistakes philosophy and growing from it, right? They're like, if I make a mistake, I'll be fired or humiliated in front of many people. And we try to create that psychological safety so they don't feel that way. It's a very hard line between accountability and making mistakes, right? So you can't simply say, keep making mistakes, you're doing great, give them an award every time. It's not that. I think one of my solution engineers put on the whiteboard once, saying, make new mistakes. It's very important to say, if you don't, making the same mistakes over and over again means you're not learning. You make mistakes, you learn from them, and you grow. And whether that's a process improvement, learning skill, or how you interact with your peers in the company, those are concrete ways we can look at, right? So the last thing is, our leadership style is very much, we are servant leaders, player coach. We actually sit with them and try to understand what their pain is, so we can make a decision that's more informed and help them understand and suss through the noise so that they can crystallize better ideas. So I think so. There's a lot of these things, right? So, just to repeat myself, starting with the culture of the company, the psychological safety, drawing the right lines between accountability and the other aspect of it, and the leadership style. And finally, we're all doing this as human beings. Everybody wants to do their best job, generally speaking. So we need to look at it from a human angle. We are here to serve other humans, as our company builds software for other companies who are trying to solve somebody's problems and day-to-day needs. So it has to have a human angle. It's just not profit and KPIs, which is important, but it is in a broader perspective of humanity that needs to give you the broader perspective. So
Yasir has been talking about psychological safety. What he didn't do is put a frame around this. This comes from a study that Google did many years ago about high-performing teams, and they looked at the characteristics of the highest performing teams at Google. And they went through a multi-year study to determine that it wasn't just talented people on the team that made them the highest performing teams. It was this number one aspect, psychological safety. In short, it is people being free to share their ideas without fear of judgment. Now, not all teams have this. That's one reason why it is a very important aspect of high-performing teams, because when they do, more creativity comes out, more people are not holding back those ideas, and they're willing to engage where necessary and even disagree. And that is a big part of high-performing teams. So psychological safety is something you might want to check out. You can Google Aristotle, Project Aristotle, to find more about psychological safety. Back to Yasir. Something you said back in there about sitting with them to understand the pain. Now that signals to me that because I already know the answer to this, you've gotten some coaching before, you believe in coaching across the company, and you're willing to sit down with someone and probably ask the questions to understand where they're coming from before you prescribe and advise and tell them how to overcome these things. That has a big difference in building trust and actually people probably opening and sharing up with you. Have you noticed that?
It's huge. Yeah. If you simply talk down and say, I know this and I'm the oracle of everything, it doesn't work too well. It's better to understand what were their challenges. And they may not have experienced it before, or they might have experienced something we are not aware of. So really understanding where they're coming from is very important too. And it's also part of the larger ownership aspect. How do you empower them? If you don't listen to them and understand them and work with them, then you're really not leading to that ownership and being your own captain philosophy of, as you grow this organization, we really like the decentralized approach where everybody has ownership on their own work. You can't be a centralized monolithic system. In this day and age, you cannot. We have a company that's distributed across 3 or 4 countries. So how do you got it? There's some trust and accountability that needs to be brought into that. So.
Yasir's mentioned ownership. Now, he doesn't know this, but I've studied this quite extensively across a lot of fast growth companies, my clients, and the things that they have in common are 6 principles. I'm going to quickly lay them out for you, but we actually do create content around this. If you need us to help you point in the right direction, just reach out to me, Gene@genehammett.com. That's my email address. But the 6 principles of ownership that really inspire people to feel like owners are mission, being if they're mission aligned, they have a higher degree of ownership. Also, empowerment. You want to make sure people feel like they can make decisions and that you're not micromanaging them. There's also growth. When they feel like they're growing in their role, they're adding value, they feel a higher sense of ownership. There's also transparency. When they feel like you're being honest with them and being transparent, they have a higher degree of ownership. When you include them on things, that's the 5th one. The inclusion aspect is when you include them in making decisions and when you include them in us changing directions or setting goals or setting KPIs and targets, they really feel a higher sense of ownership. And if you're not included, you don't feel it. And then finally, it's mindset. Mindset, it's a 2-way street. And you have to not only give them ownership, but you have to invite them to take ownership. And they have to verbally and maybe even written, giving you expressed understanding of what ownership means to them in whatever you want them to take ownership of, whether it be a goal or a project or a client experience or anything else in the business. So those 6 principles are mission, their empowerment, growth, and transparency, and inclusion, and then finally mindset. Those are the 6 principles of ownership. Back to Yasir. We've been talking about embracing the freedom to make mistakes. Now, I don't know if this is true or not in how you work, but I know a lot of organizations like yourself are integrating your team with a client team, and you're providing certain kind of expertise. Whenever that is happening, because I see you nodding your head, is there any difficulty in getting the other team members with clients to think about mistakes as a good thing?
It is challenging. Yeah. So, and this has been one of our learnings as well. Sometimes you don't have enough either emotional currency or political capital to make that change in a larger organization, right? So the larger organizations are a whole beast in itself. So we have to we do espouse it, and that's why we're very selective with the kind of clients we work. Many of our customers are with us for years, and it's because there's resonance. We're truly partnered on not only just the commercials and what we're delivering from a skill standpoint, but also from a approach philosophical standpoint and where we all want to go and how we want to get there. So I think our longest lasting client actually was from the time we formed the company till they were bought out by a PE group about a year and a half ago. So they were with us for almost 10 years. And that's how our relationships build. We have many clients which are 5+ years with us, mainly because of this value alignment. Now, we have done shorter engagements with larger companies. And the reason they are short is because they're very somewhat transactional, because you cannot bring about that change everywhere. You can espouse it, but till it's not internalized and core to their leadership, it's very difficult to always preach. You can teach it, but then adopting and internalizing it is at another whole level. So.
Yes, sir. As we begin to wrap up today, we've been talking about embracing the freedom to make mistakes. I'm sure that you've had some mistakes in your life, your journey as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, that have been a catalyst to you being the leader that you are today. Is there an inflection point that you can share with us about a shift in your thinking as a leader, or a mistake that you made that we could learn from?
I think there are many, and especially as you're a fast-growing company. I think here I would lean on to our agile philosophy. It's been incrementally learned, right? There's no one aha moment, but it did accumulate over time and get to that point where it probably was an inflection point, but it was accumulation of many mistakes, right? When you are growing fast, one of the things that you do is you want to bring in the right talent. So you hire people, and we have our internal framework of wants it, has it, and gets it, right? So that means they have the skill, they're culturally aligned, and they really want to do this stuff. But sometimes, in the need to fill the position, you end up hiring people who are not fully aligned. So that's one of my biggest mistakes is hiring the wrong kind of people, and they're not wrong in the sense that they're bad people. It's just that they're not a right fit for our company. And then the other aspect is when you're growing fast, sometimes something has to give. And 2-3 years ago, there was a couple of projects on which we overcommitted, and quality was compromised. And we got a lot of sleepless nights, and that taught us a lot of lessons on how much to commit to, and so the right people and making the right commitments. So what we call internally our say-do ratio. What you say and what you do has to be as close to one as possible. You can't say 10 things and just do one. That just doesn't work very well. So those are some of the two key mistakes that have cumulatively helped, especially as we continue to grow at a reasonably high clip. So
yes, sir. I appreciate you being here, sharing your journey of leadership and of your company growth. Really impressed with the way you've articulated this today and talking about, the need to embrace the freedom to make mistakes. Really appreciate your insights.
Thank you. Thank you, Zian. Thank you for your time as well. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well.
Wow, what a great conversation today. I've always believed that mistakes are a pathway forward and through learning. The biggest mistake I've ever made in my life, I've shared this openly. I trusted my best friend with $3 million. The inventory never showed up, and I was left holding the bag, if you will, and I had to completely change my life. It was the worst thing that ever happened, but also the best. I don't plan on making this mistake again, but I also know that I have overcome bigger challenges than I thought I could overcome. And that has been a confidence boost for me. And I'm now on the right direction. I share this little part of my story with you because mistakes are to be embraced, not to be avoided. And I really believe this, and hopefully you found value in today's conversation. If there's anything we can do as an executive coach, as leadership development firm, we'd love to help you with that. If you want to sign up for those virtual conversations, just go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.